Welcome to the Center of Light. All you sexy human divine soul Yanavites. Keith Anthony Blanchard here on this beautiful Thursday night, speaking about ancient future, the ancient future Center of Light cycle. The ancient future. I've done some presentations in the recent past about the return of the Ancient of Days, the return of the ancient church. For those who are familiar with my work, hello Ramona. She says, I am too sexy for my own good. I love you, fire. Good for you. So for those who have been following me recently, I found a new teacher. You are my teacher. As long as I've been knowing you, you have been my teacher. But I have a new teacher in the regards of a spiritual way, someone who is truly illumined. Shunya Murdy. I'm definitely going to play a video of him a little later. But we're speaking about our ancient future. Wrap your head around that. You can't. You have to wrap your heart around it. Our ancient future. It's ironic. It's iconic. It's an oxymoron. And each one cancels out the other. And in the cancellation of each other, something else happens. And it's the ancient future. Fundamental Christianity is dead. Fundamental any religion is dead. It's over. So we're going back to the Ancient of Days, present day. The oldest of all things is now new. Well, how do you say, let me find the right way to say this. Old is the new. Old is the new. Who would have knew? So this is pre-Christianity. This is pre-Buddhism. This is pre-anyism. This is like so ancient. It's beyond a level, label, timetable that we can possibly imagine. This is how it is, always was, and will forever be. The ancient future. Beautiful, isn't it? Before dogmatic, pragmatic, problematic, when things were simply just beautiful. Be you till you are full. Be beautiful. Be you till you are full. Beautiful. Take what you need. Give more than you take. For goodness sake, it's the ancient. Do we possibly think that before religion, people were not worshiping that which is beautiful and that which is not God and that which doesn't mean anything, that means anything at all? Hello, LaDonna. Hello, Ramona. Hello, Tricia. Everyone. Before any said, instead, invested religion, people were religiously in the cave days, waking up, freezing cold, feet hurting, blistering cold, having to get out in the elements to hunt animals, just to not to thrive, but to survive. You can bet at night around the campfire that they were, in their own way, back in that time, counting their blessings to whatever God they thought they needed to humble themselves to for gracing them with such beautiful blessings. They called the sun god or the summer god or the winter god or the god of grain or the god of crops. It doesn't matter. It revealed their humility, sanctity, praise, appreciation for life in any said form, even in their, quote, ignorance. We call that ignorance. Maybe they knew more than we do now. We call the evolution of life from the past to here and where we're going in the future, we call that evolution. Not necessarily so. The Egyptians had batteries. The Egyptians had electricity. But that does not necessarily mean what technology or evolution actually is. Technology does not mean evolution. Technology always brings into play revolution. And I don't mean revolution as standing up against the man. It can mean that. It means standing up against something and for something with others. That's technology. Unity as a tribe. Do you actually realize that a new civilization is being born right before your eyes? That's technology. Center of Light spiritual technologies. That's technology. People are beginning to realize, because they're using their real eyes and they understand the real lies, that technology has nothing to do with hardware. That which is tangible in the meat suit. They're starting to understand, experience exponentially, that within the meat suit is the pharmaceutical company, it's the creator of the universe, it's the anything that can be everything and the everything that can be anything at all. That is true spiritual liberation. Because even before the days of yore, no matter how old you are, no matter how many times you think you've ever incarnated, before all of that was infinity. This has never started, nor will it ever end. Wrap your heart into that conundrum. Where do you find yourself when the mind so wants to logically understand, well, what could be possibly before the beginning? What can possibly be beyond the end? Welcome to Center of Light Cycle, the ancient future. Hello, Dina. Where are you? Have you been calling yourself home? To center. Hello, Robert. Have you been calling yourself home? Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. My new bestseller. The link is in this room. If you have not read this powerful 30-year compressed book of experience, read it. Go to Amazon, buy it. $18. You got $18. I'm not saying that you need it, but if you need it or you need some leverage or inspiration, $19, $18.99 is worth abundance, period, flat out. And if you have read it, now's the perfect time to follow the same link to give me some reviews. I have recently done some presentations on the revival or the return of the ancient church. This predates Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever ism. This is about the religion of you. Being you full out, full in, religiously. There is no greater religion than that. And when you live yourself fully, you incorporate everyone else because you know in your spiritual endowment that is a requisite to move into your divinity. And as everyone moves into yours, in, about, all around, without a doubt, everyone is compounding the evolution of spiritual liberation and consciousness. This is a revival of the ancient church. God existed long before Christianity, Buddhism, Muslim, Islam, Hindi. So religion is a beautiful way to celebrate your Creator. It's not the beginning. The beginning is that which is beyond the beginning and that predates any said religion. That's the game. That's the garden. The ancient church, the ancient future. 2021 is the return of the ancient church. It's the door that's open to our ancient future. And we can hyper jump seat in this present moment. Listen, this is amazing. I know it's amazing, and I'm whatever myself. It's amazing because I can feel the energy of how I'm going to enunciate it. In this present moment, 2021, we have the grand opportunity to launch ourselves back in this present moment, back to the beginning of the Ancient of Days, but also use this present moment to move into the future, which will never end, which in regard is still the same as the Ancient of Days. Because the now moment is bridging these two possibilities, not possibilities, these two realities. The possibility comes to those who are working on trying to get there. Then it becomes a possibility. You try it. But it's the truth. It's the reality. So beyond the past and the future is right here, right now. And it looks just like you when you look in the mirror at yourself. The more you think, the more you shut the window. Now, it does not mean when you fall inside of yourself that thoughts will not crop up to validate you or to guide you further onto your path, to give you more of what it is that you want, but that your path is designed for you to have. Ultimately, thought will delay your time of arrival. Ultimately, thinking will delay your arrival. Guidance can come in the form of thought, because it sounds like you're being spoken to in your head that says, I know you want to take a left, but don't do it. Go to the next street and take a right. And you follow it. And you realize that whatever benefits happened because you followed said intuition. Then you no longer have to pay the price, which is called tuition. You go to college to learn the hard way, you pay the price. You pay the tuition. Intuition means you don't learn anything. You're given a gift. And in said gift, you're learned. You automatically get it. So there's nothing you have to pay except attention. Intuition, there's nothing you have to pay except attention. Now we're speaking about moving into the cosmic college. There's a tuition you have to pay when you go to college to learn. You can't disagree with that. It's a fact of the matter. Intuition doesn't require payment, except paying attention. Just said intuition, which will help you bypass anything that seems like it's costing you a frickin' bundle. The return of the ancient church, our ancient future. They cancel each other out. Ancient future, ancient future. And now you're left with yourself, which is everything, which is the future possibility, whatever you can dream up. But as Sadhguru says, a great blessing can be bestowed upon you if you don't get what you dream about. I have all these dreams. Maybe a great blessing is that you don't get it. Maybe there's such an amazing window open that you're dreaming up your greatest reality is actually very limiting. So Sadhguru blesses you and says, I pray that you don't get what you ask for. beautiful poetry in it. The Dalai Lama says, sometimes not getting what you want is a stroke of real good luck. I'm starting to understand that. The ancient, the dust, and the rust, and return to it we must. We're on the cusp of reclaiming the old, the ancient, the divine, that which never has started, is now, and forever will be, and will never end. How do you begin to wrap your mind? You can't. You shan't. You won't. So don't try. Be with yourself. Touch yourself. Love yourself. Be joyful and make magic and miracles normal occurrences for you. Believe it. Weave it. Use your spiritual yarn and fashion this reality for yourself. It's upon you. It's upon me. It's upon all of we. The ancient. What does that look like? You think it looks like a church with a steeple? And Jesus? And Buddha? You think it looks like this and that? It does. That would be a truth. But the absolute truth is, it does not at all. It looks like everything. It is everything. Can you imagine? I'm asking you. Imagine the first beings on Earth, the first beings on any planet. Granted, there was an evolutionary process of learning. Ugh, fire, atuka, alana, zug zug, right? So there was a learning curve. So the evolution of consciousness always unfolds, it always unfurls. The flag is always waving. And evolution in any society, Earth or any other planetary system, is about expanding into greater possibilities. If it was all about enlightenment in the moment, it would still be just God. God came to any plane to learn about itself as an individual expression of itself. So the reason nothing is ever immediately illumined, truly, is because God is bored. God is alone. God is a lonely being. He wants others to play with, and he's playing with you and me. But are we seeing that? Ancient magician, the sorcerer of all source, the creator of all creation, is simply using all of us as an instrument? Or does it feel like your head is being crashed with someone's tuba? This is old. It's a new beginning, but it really isn't. It's just a center of light cycle. Tonight is center of light cycle. Ancient future. It's the beginning of the old. And it's starting to unfold. And it's starting to exponentiate. You are older than dirt. You are older than you can imagine. In fact, you can't even grasp in your mind how ancient and old you actually are. So don't try, because you won't come to a conclusion. Go, well, I'm actually 1,675,000 because I lived 100,000+ lifetimes. That is not what you are either. It may be a grander possibility of your expressions over a course of what we call time. That is exactly not what you are. Time is the overseer of infinity. Chew on that stick of ironic dynamite. Center of light. Cycle. 26,000, give or take, years has come back. And the ancient church is saying, I, meaning Jesus, but meaning that which is beyond Jesus itself, which is the Christ principle. Jesus is not the, let me make sure I say this right. Christ is not Jesus. Christ is everything. Jesus became the Christ. In the everything. This is beyond religion. Religion is Jesus is the Christ. Spirituality is Christ has an embodiment within the house of many mansions that we know as the blessed teacher. That's Jesus. The ancient, it's old. I know you feel it. It's stirring you from soul to bones. I know you feel it. Hello, Summer Fusion. Hello, Serene. It's so old, you might need your spiritual geritol to function. You may be new on this path consciously. This is not your first rodeo, cowboy or cowgirl. Yeehaw! And it's all coming to fruition. It's all coming to a head. So now I'm going to play you a Lavender Soul song. When I come back, I'm going to move into a video presentation which inspired this title tonight, which is Ancient Future from Shunya Murti. Again, for those who don't know who Shunya Murti is, he's an awakening, truly, there. He's an awakening in weight. You will see a soft, warm glow drape his being. Not only listen to his words, listen between the words. He doesn't stammer. He doesn't stutter. He's going to speak about the return of the ancient future. Listen intentfully. It will serve you greatly. Be right back. Let's see what we're going to play. How about Beautiful World? We're moving into a beautiful world. Lavender Soul, my spiritual band. When I wrote this song, I said, Bernard, we need a new instrument. He said, what kind of instrument? I said, how about a harp? So there we have it. I'll see you shortly.
In a beautiful world, unconditional love would do the influencing. For it is the most effective way I know to create the peace that you seek.
in our most beautiful world. Most beautiful world. Are you asking with your passion? Awakening the doorways inside. Are you loving those dearly without blame? Then rise above. Then you rise above. Let's stop waiting for some other time to open up our hearts. Celebrating, celebrate the beauty inside. It's inside of you that matters, deep inside to the soul. That's where the tie is unbroken in our most beautiful world. Most beautiful world. Let's stop waiting for some other time to open up our hearts. Celebrating, celebrate the beauty inside.
Most people, many people, think that these sounds like beautiful ideas. I love it. It's very entertaining. This is a reality for those who truly want it. The most beautiful world. Let's stop waiting for some other time to open up our hearts, celebrating the beauty inside. The return of the ancient church, our ancient future. It sounds fantasy, far-fetched, because it is. It allows us to reach for that which is greater than we've always known. Because if we always had that which is greater than we always known, we would be in the garden already. But right now, we're still getting pricked by thorns and cactus and briars and goat heads, constantly pulling out weeds. Doesn't mean that this process is not beautiful. It is. Are you not tired of pulling out weeds, and are you ready to plant the flower of your life? It requires you to be a bold, proud, I said that word intentionally, proud of you, proud of your accomplishments. I don't mean pride. What you have done, who you are, and what you know you're capable of. When you live in this modality, you become not only invincible, you become invisible to all the nonsense that wants to attach itself to you to pull you into the shitstorm. come out stinking, not smelling like a rose of the initial seed that we planted for ourselves. This predates Christianity, predates any religion. This is not picking on Christianity. I love Christianity beyond measure. This is something beyond measure, including said Christianity, Buddhism, Muslim, Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, so forth, Sikhism. These are all just ways to celebrate your glorious life in your culture. Sometimes on Thanksgiving, people don't want to eat turkey anymore. Sometimes in any said holiday, certain people don't want to do certain things anymore. They want to expand beyond the box of what is the normal or what is tradition. Tradition is beautiful until it's no longer beautiful. Well, how do you know when it's no longer beautiful? When it gets boring, mundane, and sameness. Don't we all want to expand beyond what we have known? Isn't that what spiritual liberation is? Because if we had no need to expand, we would be spiritually liberated. How do you see yourself now, Snowflake? I know how I see this snowflake. I have my phenomenal days, and I have my days that I need to do some work. Everyone, we're going to move into some Sri Shunyamurti. Again, for those who are new, you may have been watching me for a while, but I'm in honing in. Good word. Honing my scope of understanding with all my illumined, empowered faculties on this beautiful man, Shunyamurti. Listen to his words. Listen good. Listen to beyond the words. He sings. He doesn't stammer. He doesn't stutter. He's going to bring back the ancient church. Enjoy it. Dear Lord knows I will. I'll see you short. God bless you.
It's said that you can't travel in two boats at the same time in the ocean. If you have one foot in each of two boats, something's going to happen that you won't like. You end up falling in the water. So a decision has to be made at some point in one's life, which boat you're traveling in. And that's difficult for people who want to keep all their options open. But eventually you end up having no options because both boats leave you behind. And so it's important to know how to make a commitment and which type of commitment to make. One clue is given by the physiological structure of the human organism. Unlike most animals who walk on four legs and are geared to be able to investigate the horizontal plane with great powers of smell and of sight and of powers of defense and attack and often of flight and of speed and all kinds of things that humans don't have. But humans have a vertical structure, and humans are designed not to lead a horizontal life, but a vertical life. And that's really the difference between the two boats that we have to choose from. Because the ego, the human ego, is designed only to live in the horizontal plane, whereas the self is vertical. It's like a rocket, and it connects to the higher spheres of intelligence beyond this holographic illusion. And human beings are not designed for a struggle of dominance over territory. We don't have claws, we don't have the fangs, we don't have the thick hide. We don't have anything that designs us to that kind of a struggle, unlike what the Darwinists want to claim. We have very thin skins, very fragile capacities, except for the use of our minds. But the human ego has used its mind to weaponize itself on the horizontal plane. And this is leading to a death of culture itself. So anyone who is looking with an unbiased eye at what's happening in the world recognizes that we are at the end of an age, but it's the end of the age of the ego, because the human ego has reached a point of self-destruction. It's exhausted its resources. It cannot achieve what it wants any longer, and there's a point of diminishing returns. And the hegemonic power that had been running the world for the last 100 years, or at least since World War II, we can say, the empire, the Trumpire at this point, is dying, it's collapsing, and it is in a struggle in which it's going to try to take down all of life with it. And if one tries to deal with this only from the egoic perspective, one will be in a frame of reference that will lead to despair and hopelessness and a sense that all is lost. But the real key to this age is that something is being born simultaneously with what is dying. And although the ego is dying, and in fact, the egos are being replaced by robots, so there won't need to be large populations. This is probably the last achievement of the ego in its technological capacity. But it's the robots are not conscious beings, no matter how highly technologically advanced we can make them. They are instruments, they are tools. But who is the tool maker? The problem is that the ego has itself functioned as a tool of a chaotic, demonic force, because that's all that the ego can do, is have an egocentric perspective on reality that wants to dominate, which leads to a clash of civilizations and ultimately the destruction of all. But at the same time that this is happening, there is an awakening to the vertical nature of our being. And those who awaken to that nature will be able to download information and latent potentialities of the human consciousness that have not been tapped into for many long ages. But we are now going into a new age that actually is an ancient future. And we are leaving behind not only the age of the ego, but the age of a provincial consciousness that is limited to this particular planet. And we are about to enter into an age of cosmic citizenship, cosmic consciousness. And this planet is already being visited by beings of other planets and other dimensions and other vibrational frequencies that make them invisible to the physical eye, but they are here and they are connected with us, but at a higher level of consciousness than the ego can reach and align with. And so until our own consciousness becomes subtle enough to be able to function at those higher bodiless levels that connect with the unified field of cosmic consciousness, the way we must proceed is to allow our body minds to become possessed by those higher powers and frequencies that can then rewire the brain mechanism and the functioning of the organism as a downloading instrument that creates a sense of mediumship in which that higher intelligence can be operationalized on this plane. So the higher intelligence, the God consciousness that we are designed to anchor with these physical organisms that are verticalized, are intended to be downloaded in a field of unity, a field of love, not a field of competition, which is the ego's habitat, but a field of love and unity and superorganismic, let's say, augmentation by the network of computers that each of these brains are, that when synchronized, create an intelligence that doesn't belong to any one of the bodies in the field, but expresses the manifestation of the intelligence of the source from which all of us receive our life and our capacity to think. But in the rewiring of the brain that is taking place for those who allow themselves to be possessed, and this is what the meaning of surrender to God is really all about, to allow that deleting of the old egoic program and the installation of the new program of God consciousness, there will be a different kind of cognition with a different kind of logic that develops, that the human mind at the ego level cannot comprehend, because it is based on the two-valued logic of yes or no, up or down, true or false. But the higher logic has many more options than that. And so we must understand the cosmic logic, the logic of worlds that will enable the artistry of the creation of a new world out of the plasmic field of which this old world is made. This phenomenal plane is made out of an etheric substance known as Brahman. Once you know that the function of the God consciousness is to be an artist, and the artistry that we are to bring about is that of a new world that will be able to be installed immediately upon the death of the old world without any glitches or gaps in between. There will be simply a vibrational shift. But which level are you going to be on when that shift happens? Because one will disappear and the other will manifest. And so it's like two tectonic plates, and one is subducting under the other. One age is going under into unmanifest form, and a new age is coming from the unmanifest into the manifest. We have the choice of which we want to belong to. But to belong to that higher age, we must be in that higher consciousness and connected to that non-egoic sphere of intelligence, so that we become those master artists whose artistry is in the production of a world, and then within that world, a divine renaissance in which all of the latent potentialities of our creative intelligence are finally able to be used to their full and maximal capacity for the creation of beauty and of joy and of a world in which everyone is happy. But happy isn't even the word. It's an infinite level of happiness because it's occurring in an infinite consciousness with infinite capacity for love and creativity that is unimaginable because it's multidimensional creativity. But to be able to function in that world that is coming about, we must allow ourselves to surrender the old identity of the ego that will not fit into that world and will not be allowed in such a world. The world will be designed for the beauty of beings of heart, of love, of eternal and immortal joy that has no fear of death or of pain or of suffering, and will create a world in which those things no longer exist. But if you want to be happy, you can no longer want to be an ego, because egos are all unhappy. They want to be happy, and they'll do anything to try to be happy, but nothing they try brings happiness. And it can't, because of the very structure of the consciousness of the ego that was created as an artifact that lacks the essence, lacks the heart, lacks the truth and the beauty of real being, because it is a mind that is separated from God. That is a demonic kind of mind. And because of that lack of essence, the ego becomes vampiric, because it is not connected to the life and the joy from within, from its own godly nature. It must suck the life out of others. And we have a system that has become vampiric on the life of our planet. It is ravaging nature and the beauty of the world that God has given us to steward. And instead of protecting that, we have been destroying the forests and the ecosystems out of a desire for profit, for money which is a fiction and which will no longer soon have any value whatsoever, because the system on which it is based of greed and of envy and of hatred and of ruthlessness and of complete lack of love has created a system that is unsustainable and must suffer its own destruction. So if we are not to be destroyed along with it, we must detach from being accomplices to that system and instead become married to that power that is bringing a new world into being, that will have the capacity to be sustainable, not through ordinary, normal human technology, but through a divine psychotechnology that we are able to download from the source of the intelligence of the creator of the world itself, because we are manifestations of that power. But to be able to do that requires a surrender, a total surrender to literally being possessed by that power that takes over the use of the body and that ends all questions on how do I make decisions and do anything. We are not to make any decisions whatsoever, but to be translated into that realm of spontaneity in which our emotions and our thoughts are guided and directed entirely from within by that power that alone can navigate through this shift of ages, because it is based upon a teleological intelligence that comes out of the future, that already knows what is occurring and is guiding the world into its proper destiny. But the only question is, how will you use your free will to be either in alignment or at odds with this shift that is taking place? And the only way you will be able to discern the difference and have the intellectual clarity to understand what is happening and how to make that shift into the boat, the rocket ship that will take you into this new age of divine consciousness that does not require permanent anchoring in any body form, but will be able to manifest forms at will that are based upon the needs of the moment and the creation of scenarios of beauty and joy that will be able to be produced in a way that is analogous to a dream. You don't construct a dream in the way a sculptor makes a sculpture out of stone. It's not a matter of finding resistances and forces that have to be overcome. It's not an art of the kind that the ego is used to, that has to struggle with an empty canvas or a writer's block that doesn't know what's going to come next. It comes out of an intelligence that already knows the future because it's in the eternal now that contains past and future and all possible cosmoses that can arise as manifestations of the great artistic dreamer of worlds that is your real self. And so it is in this total metamorphosis of our being that is achieved through the silencing and the complete subsiding of the egoic tendencies until they are cremated entirely and cannot interfere with the arising of this cosmic consciousness from within and from without in a massive morphogenetic shift that will simultaneously cause all the popcorn kernels to pop at once and to pop into a new dimension of reality as the old falls into the ocean, literally, to cleanse the thermonuclear radiation that will have burned away every trace of the old age that is about to be taken out of its misery. But these two different forms of cremation are a choice that you must make. You don't want to end up in the apocalyptic one, but in the birth of an age of divine beings who are able to live in a world that is a holographic dream in unity with the dreamer. May you have the wisdom and the good karma and the capacity for discernment and the love of beauty and the love of goodness and the love of happiness and the love of eternity to live for that higher life and to download it from the source into this plane and bring miracles into manifestation through your own miraculous transformation into the divine being you have been intended to become and whose destiny you can now fulfill through making a simple choice to realize who you are.
Hello, all you sexy human creatures. Welcome to Center of Light. Right off the get-go, share this to you all. It may reach someone who is reaching for the golden ring just like you. What is the golden ring? It's not what you think. It is what you want. It may come through the guise of what you think it is. Instead of going for the superficial aspect of it, when you move to the deeper layer, that which is meaningful, the real reason, it becomes the season of your harvest. I want you to be a joyful, sexy, beautiful human being. You owe me nothing. Gina says, it's cool, Keith. You demand. We're going to get real. It's yours for the taking. We're all looking for bliss. Burst of light. I'm going to empower you. I'm going to get down to some beeswax, cosmic broham, oink, to say I love you. Flagship Mother Earth, this way. Inward is upward, and that is forward. Powerful. Any thought that you have that is not of the highest ideal contains self-sabotage. Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. I'm holding on because I'm scared to death of the changes that are happening in the world, the changes that are happening within me, but I'm living in the old world paradigm and I'm going nowhere. I'm bored out of my skull. That's called insanity. I'm already feeling it come into every fiber of my being, though I have no idea about the future timeline of where this is going because I don't care. I just know that I am living in that joy in this moment, this way. In is the way out, where you are in your being, your experience. If you want joy, ecstasy, and peace beyond you've ever had in your being, because when you're inward, you don't need anything. And therefore, you have everything. Why would you believe anything when you can know everything? So now we went from this very tiny, minute little possibility of self to an explosion of infinite possibility in God, metaphor for up. We always known God to be up. When we have these connections with spirit, then our life moves forward. What makes Shunyan Murti believable is not because he's painting you a beautiful possibility or story about his own future. He's not telling you a story about what he predicts for himself as an ancient future. He is the personification of such ancient future. He is connected. There is no angst in this person. No. He lives in this simple place, this simple space of infinite joy. So the truth, the absolute, ongoing, infinite law, truth is joy and bliss. So that becomes all of our measurement stick. So if what we're all on the earth and throughout the universe is trying to achieve, who, let me ask the question boldly, plainly, simply, who does not want infinite joy, bliss, abundance, so forth and so on throughout the universe? Well, of course, everyone does. So that becomes the compass. Everyone in the universe wants said joy, bliss, this, that. So in the this and that of it all, we have to check ourselves. Are we living in the truth? Not a truth, because you may live your truth, I may live my truth, we all live our truths. But the absolute truth is for those who really want it. Well, Keith, are you saying I don't really want it? I don't know. I'm asking you, do you really want it? Are you willing to die? That's the question I toss back to you. Are you willing to die? Well, I don't want to physically die. I'm not talking about physical death, but I am. I'm talking about dying to the world of what you think is real, true, right, wrong, or your story. Are you living in your story? Or you living in your glory? Is really what it comes down to. And I'm speaking to myself. Shunya Murti lives in that reality. He is the personification of that reality. And I'm doing everything I can to ride behind him in the roller coaster ride. I'm making my way. Are you making your way? It's not hard. This predates any religion. It predates anything that you have in the form of any vision moving about your mind. Your thoughts are not yours. You did not fabricate or manufacture the thought. Well, Keith, I just had a thought. No, you didn't. You had a thought cross your stream, but you didn't manufacture the thought. Even if you sit here and try to hunker down and go, I'm going to have a thought. I'm going to try to go in here and do this thing. And it's going to look like this. That's not what you're doing. And the what you're doing is opening up a gate that allows thought to come in. And we believe that we manufactured it. It's not the way of it. If God is infinite, anything that can be thunk has already been thought. And in said realization simply becomes a realization of freedom, a liberation. It takes the weight off of the effort, the struggle, and the strain of life. It's the return of the Ancient of Days. You should be amazed. You should be wild, just like I am. And I'm vowed, just like you are, to do everything to get back to the truth. So the question becomes deliciously, what is the truth? Keith Yanava, Mr. Spiritual Teacher. No one can answer that for you. except you. And you can possibly find that answer when you look in the mirror of what you think is you. And when you shatter that glass, that mirror, that illusion, the phoenix, the lotus flower, the rebirth of the Christ in you will simply reveal itself and say, your ancient future is yours. And you're the present moment. And in this present moment, you can bridge your past and your future and suture these up together. This sounds like fairy tale nonsense. I love fairy tale nonsense. Unicorns are real. And so are you. God bless you. This is your moment. There is no other moment. I will see you soon. Peace, love, and light. Your love beyond measure.